So it's been a long time since I've done a review, like a real long time, but for good reason. Over the past year or so, I've just been completely content with my Valve Index. Even though the Index just turned over 2 years old, it's still, in my opinion, the best all-around headset on the market. And although I have dabbled around and tried a few other headsets, nothing has really caught my attention as a potential upgrade until the reveal of the Vive Pro 2. Now on paper, it looks really good. However, knowing Vive's track record, I remain skeptical. And although I may be late to the party, I still feel like it's my civic duty to test this thing out and provide you guys with the unbiased information required so you can decide if it's worth spending your hard-earned schmeckles, especially considering this thing costs $800.
Bruh.
That's right, $800, like really HTC? And look, Vive has never been cheap, and I could totally understand if this is like 2016, there's no other competition, they're dropping this boss-ass headset, then sure, but that is just simply not the case now. All I can say is that if they're gonna be charging a premium price, unless this thing was glued together by unicorn jizz, which I don't see listed anywhere, then it better look, feel, and perform like a premium headset, or else I'm going to be disappointed. But I digress. Now, don't get me wrong, I like HTC. I believe they've done some really positive things for the VR space and have also put out some awesome tech along the way. Obviously, I love my Vive trackers. I think they're the best thing since bread sliced. I beat the crap out of my 2.0s and they kept going, and my new 3.0s have been nothing but amazing. Like, look, check this out. They gave us the first consumer headset with eye tracking and also produced this neat little facial tracking module, and although I don't own one yet, you damn well know I'm gonna. And on top of all that, they gave us a wireless solution, albeit an expensive wireless solution, but that's something pretty awesome that another certain VR company can't say. Valve. But when it comes to their dildos, they're durable but just overall kinda meh, and the recent headset offerings have been the choice between dog shit and Omega dog shit. Now, before we find out how the Pro 2 stacks up, it's time for the part nobody cares about, the unboxing. And if you have a box fetish, you are in for a treat. We've got a box within a box. We've got a box within a box within a box. Boxception. And yo dog, I heard you like boxes, so I put some boxes in your motherfucking boxes. There you have it. Really not a whole lot to it. So I've spent around the last couple weeks playing around with this thing. I could have had an extra day if my FedEx guy could have figured out how to operate a gate, but that's neither here, there, or anywhere. But in that time, I was pretty much just playing some games. I put it through a couple of typical scenarios and was also straight chilling, and I have formulated a couple of opinions on it, but let's just go ahead and start off with the stuff that I enjoyed. So first and most importantly, the 5K panels are actually very nice, and thank God, because if they somehow managed to f*** up the biggest selling point of their headset, they would have been very screwed. Now, make no mistake, I'm not talking about the entire visual experience. I'll touch on that a little bit more later. I'm just talking about the panels themselves. They seem very crisp, the color and saturation looks good, and the black levels look very black for an LCD display, which is impressive. I guess my only complaint would be is that they use this adaptive screen brightness thing, so depending on what you're looking at, they'll either get noticeably darker or noticeably dimmer, which although is subtle, it's definitely noticeable. A couple other perks is this is a SteamVR compatible headset, and they decided to stick with the Lighthouse tracking, which is very nice. This, in my opinion, is a great move because first you don't have to worry about getting data mined by the Lizard King.
You will give me your data.
No, Mark, never. I refuse.
Fine then. I will suck it out of you.
And then also, let's just be honest with ourselves, their inside tracking solution was pretty awful to say the least. On to the wireless capability, which is truly the only reason why I even own a Vive at this point. Come on, Valve, please give us wireless, please. I promise I'll make you proud. And I know what people are gonna say. I have a Quest 2. Just do wireless with the Quest 2, and believe me, I know I've done it. And honestly, it's just really a hassle to get the Quest 2 to work with the trackers, to get it to work with the index controllers, and just really nice to have a wireless solution that just works with SteamVR right out of the box. Now, the wireless adapter doesn't do the full 5K resolution that the headset is capable of, but in my opinion, that is completely fine. I'm legit more impressed that it even works at all. They didn't just can it, release a 2.0 model with like a new plug or something on it, and then charge $500 for it, so thanks for at least not doing that. Alright, let's see, what else do we got? The strap. The strap's pretty nice. I like the strap, actually. It's just the recycled strap from the old Pro, but honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's fairly comfortable. I think my favorite thing about it, it's like one of the only headsets that I can ratchet it on hard enough that I can like flip around and stuff without needing a chin strap. So if you're like a VR chat dancer and you plan on going inverted and stuff like that, it actually might be very nice for you. That about wraps it up for the things that I did really like. Let's move on to some of the aspects that didn't impress me as much. Starting off, it just really doesn't feel that premium. Like, it doesn't feel bad, it just doesn't feel premium, especially for $800. Like, I'm not sure why I would have expected otherwise. I know it's just the recycled Pro shell, but I mean, all in all, it just feels kind of delicate, and I certainly wouldn't rely on it to take a beating, especially when this guy's broke when he was doing absolutely nothing. This thing runs hotter than the devil's dick, and basically having an oversized sponge for the facial interface just soaks up sweat and makes it an insanely uncomfortable experience for long play sessions and high energy games. Now, this will either be a positive or negative depending on where you're coming from, but the audio quality is okay. It's fine, it's certainly usable, but just not great. Sound quality wise, I'd place below the index, but definitely above like a Rift S or Quest 2. I honestly just expected a little bit more for $800, I'm just saying. But there is a redeeming quality. At least the headphone stays down on my ear, unlike the Cosmos Elite, so booyah! Something else that's a little frustrating is in order to use this headset with Steam VR, you're gonna have to have the Vive console running. And although it's not the worst console I've ever used, Pimax! Sorry, must have had a frog in my throat. Hey! No, but for real, something that holds true is the words of the great notorious B.I.G. Mo programs, mo problems, and mo problems is something you're certainly gonna deal with. Basically had a few times where Steam VR just refused to start. There was a couple times where I'd close out of Steam VR and my entire computer would freeze, requiring a hard restart. And there was whatever the hell this was. Alright, you guys are gonna like this. This is actually my first day of testing this headset out online, and people are telling me that I was sounding like I breathed in some helium. I thought they were just saying the headset like sucked or something, but I went back and watched the footage, and this is what I sound like. So I have no idea what's causing this. It's some kind of glitch, but I just hope that like I don't have a defective unit or something. Diving into the visual experience, there is a lot to unpack, but one of the first things you're going to notice, unless you're coming from a Pimax or an Index, is a pleasant increase to your field of view. The vertical field of view is slightly smaller, but the horizontal field of view is noticeably bigger, and in my experience, even just a slight increase to the field of view goes a long way for immersion. Now, the only reason I have a bit of an issue with this is, at least through my eyes, it doesn't appear to be as much of an increase as they led us to believe. And I have seen the reviews suggesting that a thinner face pad can help out with the field of view and some of the other issues I've had, but here's the thing. It didn't come with one, I don't have one, and I also don't understand why it's my responsibility to bring their product up to its advertised potential. Now, the Index really didn't have that big of an issue with the screen door effect, so moving up to the Pro 2 wasn't that dramatic, but I did notice while looking dead center in the distance that things were extra crispy. The screen door effect is basically gone. It was very immersive depending on what you're doing, and I did notice the extra clarity while absolutely bodying kids in Population 1. Holy f***ing God-raised Batman. If you thought the Index was bad, this is like the final boss. Now, the Index was no peach, not by a long shot. You would get these soft kind of God rays in your peripheral when you looked around, but it would also kind of create a glare that went across the entire screen. In the Pro 2's case, it's just these sharp rays extending off of every contrasting point outside of the dead center. It really is up to your visual preference to decide if that's better or worse, but it is the first thing I noticed, and if you thought you were going to escape it with this headset, oh no, no, no. Now, I think a contributing factor to this is the smaller sweet spot. Like, it's not insultingly small. Once you get the headset set up and you're looking out, everything seems pretty clear. It's not till you start actually looking around with just your eyes or trying to read stuff in the peripheral that you notice the issue. Now, although some of this is sounding pretty bad, it really isn't a deal breaker, because as much as I wish these issues didn't exist, they do, and you're going to be dealing with them all one way or another, no matter what headset you're using. What truly is the deal breaker for me, though, is the stereo overlap. There is something seriously off there. From what I understand, they have the panels a bit farther than normal to give it that wider field of view, but because of that, you can like clearly see where the ends of the screens are, and the 3D image just doesn't quite come together properly. It's just weird and hard to explain. You would have to see it. It's like you have this crispy image in front of you, but your eyes just can't quite focus on it. And although it's not that extreme and your eyes do eventually adapt to it, I didn't realize how much eye strain it was actually causing me until I'd switch back over to my Index. And look, I could deal with washed out colors, less resolution, smaller FOV, but eye strain is not the way that I want to do VR.
Your f***ing mic, you peaked so bad. It's so
Now, I'm gonna try my hardest not to flip a biscuit here, but the microphone is absolutely, inexcusably, and unforgivably bad. Like, what the hell, HTC? I've been through McDonald's drive-thrus with better audio quality than this, and the most frustrating part is this was fully within your control. I can sympathize and understand that improving things like God rays, stereo overlap, and heat management are a lot harder issues to tackle, but how freaking hard would it have been to plug a better microphone inside of your $800 headset? It doesn't even have to be a great mic, just something usable. I'm getting made fun of by people on the Rift S and they sound like Optimus Prime half the time. Goosefraba. Okay, I'm calm now. It's just, as a creator, it's unusable. As a fan of Vive, it's a slap to the face. Fortunately, the issue is easily solvable thanks to this video's sponsor, the Antlion Mod. But in all seriousness, that was their solution. They know their mic is bad. We have been complaining about it since the original Vive, and instead of spending a few extra dollars on their end for something usable, we're stuck spending hundreds. And because of that, HTC, fuck you. Okay, perhaps that was a little bit harsh and I do apologize. I still love you guys, but HTC, please listen to me. Just get some new mics, please. Just get some new mics, please. Please. Pretty please? Please! All in all, I really want to like this headset. I've been itching for an upgrade for a long time, but honestly, this just isn't it. Now, I don't think it's terrible by any measure. Most of the features are as good, if not better, than the majority of the competition, but in the end, for how much they're charging, it's just overall kind of meh. When comparing directly to the index, you're paying significantly more and settling for less in nearly every category in exchange for a 5K panel that in and of itself is not perfect. It just honestly doesn't feel that innovative or like a step up to me. Now, the Vive Focus 3, on the other hand, that actually looks pretty sick and like some future tech, so if that ever becomes consumer grade... But until then, I don't really see the Pro 2 as an upgrade, and once again, it just seems like too little, too late for too much. Now, if you disagree with me and you love your Pro 2, that is great. I hope everyone can find a headset that they love. I understand that VR is not one size fit all, and there's many individual aspects like facial structure and everything that can affect how someone's viewing experience is. So if you're interested in the Pro 2, I suggest you give it a try, because as many opinions as I have, I'm not an expert. I'm just some guy that spends the majority of his time with a screen strapped to his face, so take that however you will. Peace.